Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, talking fishing. If it's facts about fishing that you want to know, then tune in, folks, cause this is the show. We'll show you all the right bait to use, so sit right back, you got nothing to lose. Doesn't really matter if it's trout or carp, flathead, marlin or a gummy shark. Listen to the guys and you can't go wrong. They'll be talking about fishing till the cows come home. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
Welcome everyone to Talking Fishing. Just a reminder that tonight's show is a pre-recorded one. So if a marlin was caught in Port Phillip Bay on the weekend, we won't be talking about it tonight. Coming up on tonight's show, we discuss deep water whiting tactics. We take a look at some new products that have hit the market recently, and we hear about a new big reef going into Port Phillip Bay, as well as all the regular segments. All that and plenty more. So let's get into it with a big welcome to the man who travels by kayak, Adam Ring. Welcome, Ads.
Thanks, Dave. Hey, a new reef into Port Phillip Bay. When did that come about?
This is big news.
Wow.
Something completely different.
Yep.
Going to hear about it tonight.
Awesome. Bring that on.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And in Trelly's absence once again, it's a very big welcome to our regular fill-in Callan Braidball. Welcome back, Cal.
How are we, guys? Good to be back, filling Trelly's spot again.
Yes, and good to see you back too, and always got some things that we like to pick your brain about. We're going to do that tonight. We're going to pick your brain about a couple of things that you do differently in fishing that maybe Ads and I don't do, because you do travel around, you know, being a single bloke. And
did you do the last minute dash down to get yourself a new attire? You're looking quite sharp, mate. I like it.
Down to Savers.
And we might do something about, let's start a rally, I reckon, Ads. Let's get him not single anymore.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, that's it.
Got a couple little surprises for him tonight.
Who needs Tinder when you got talking
we're going to read
fishing?
his profile tonight.
That's right.
We might read Cal's Tinder profile tonight. So, but boys, what an exciting time of year I find this is for fishing, because we've probably reached the peak of water temperature for the year, and although we've probably got some warmer currents to come down ocean-wise, so off lakes entrance and all that sort of stuff, but the bay will slowly start to decline. Not by much, but in the next 4 weeks, I just find it's an exciting time because you get a little bit of turnover, a little bit of cold weather, as we've had, and a bit of colder water comes into the bay, and it turns over. Things happen that are different.
Well, it's exciting because we start to see the re-emergence of some species that we'd forgotten about. Like, I'd expect over the next few weeks, 3, 4, 5 weeks, we'll see a nice little snapper bite. Now, whether people get amongst that or not's another thing, but that'll happen. These fish will start thinking about leaving the bay. They'll need to feed up quite hard, get the energy stocks, get the bellies full so they can start making their migratory run out of the bay. That's pretty exciting because it was let's just say snapper season was hard work, like it has been for a few years. But to get another shot, hopefully, we get another good crack at them, and the kayak guys will get some fish, and then the guys in the boats will get out wide off the peninsula, and we'll see some good catches.
And there's less traffic on the water now too, so those fish are starting to bite, especially in close to the whiting, the squid. They're all going to start to pick up anyway. There's Christmas holidays are gone. The weather will start to get a little bit colder, and people won't be swimming, so we'll be able to get into those shallow areas and catch a lot more fish.
Later on, we're going to talk about a species that hasn't appeared in Catch of the Week for quite some time. But, boys, let's have a look at what's being caught by the people at home. It's time for Catch of the Week.
Catch of the Week, brought to you by Shimano, providing reliable, trustworthy, quality fishing gear for your enjoyment.
Now we are getting to that time of the year. The Western Port Whiting Challenge is on soon, and it's good to see there are some big King George whiting being caught. Unfortunately, this one is from nowhere near Hastings. But Glenn Bussertil, he landed a beautiful 43 centimetre King George whiting off Kirk Point, boys.
Where's that?
Yeah,
Kirk
where
Point.
is that?
Kirk Point, about halfway between Werribee and Corio Bay, if you like. So along that western side, if you like, or northwestern side of Port Phillip Bay.
I'm hearing good things from over there.
Then. Always been, from us being over, I guess, the southeastern suburbs, most of us, and Trelly, Geelong hears a lot of other reports, but, there's always a productive area over there that we don't hear a lot about.
That's
but
right.
it is quite a productive fishery.
And you know it's a chunky whiting when you can hold it up and get a nice fistful and not touch your pinky with your or your forefinger with your thumb.
The other species you were just talking about, Adam, is the old snapper, and they're about to start biting again as the water temperature cools, and they like that. John Sargent headed out off Mount Martha and landed a lovely 64 centimetre.
Yep.
Great fish.
That's a nice fish, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is.
And those sort of areas, Mount Martha,
Mount Eliza,
and
Mornington,
deeper
too, that we might find this time of the year. But
it's good.
Yeah,
that'll go nuts.
Same tactics, isn't it?
Exactly
as
the
the
same.
snapper season.
Yeah.
Sound them up. They're schooling up a little bit, and it's time to.
I think they're always there. We just shy away from it. We go to target other species. The kingfisher obviously come in, the whiting turn on. So I think the snapper are always there. We're just going to need to target them more often, and we'll be able to find them.
Yeah. A spot you fished at, Cal, is Stockyard Point, and Ash McMillan headed there recently and got a lovely gummy shark. Now, it's somewhere I've never been. Ads, have you?
Stocky? No, I've never made the walk.
No. Yeah. So, Cal, tell us a bit about Stockyard Point, because it's a known spot for gummy sharks.
Well,
it
is quite a known spot for gummy sharks. Around down near that whole Jamjerrup, Granville area is. But at Stockyard Point, for one, it is a fair walk, but on a low tide you can get right down to the channel, which is quite important because you do not only get gummies there, but you get a lot of elephant fish, snapper, and the important thing is to get out to the channel, to that deeper water. It is quite a shallow area on a high tide, but on that low tide you can get to where the deeper water is, and that's where the fish are cruising through. Might not they will feed on their way through there, but pretty much think of it like as a highway. Fish have got to cruise through there, like we got to travel on the roads to the city.
Yeah. Just when the tide starts coming in, do you have to run and beat the tide to get back to the shore?
Yeah.
Or?
I think you can get a bit landlocked there, so it's. I'd only ever fish it like a couple of hours either side of the low.
Yeah.
Because then you got to lug all your gear back anyway. You don't want to be walking through water doing that.
Fair enough.
I've seen people ride their bikes down to the point though before.
Really?
So have their gear on the back and do that. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, there you go. Let's head bush now and up to Cobram on the Murray River. And Josh Collegia got a lovely 47 centimetre yellow belly just recently. Dressed in the gear there, Josh, and looking good, looking the part and enjoying a nice fish, hey?
That's really cool, I'd say, because, we'll ask Trelly when he's back, but it seems to have been a bit of a slow year on the yellow belly. We haven't heard those insane catches from Eildon. Now, whether that's still coming, I don't know.
Is that because
cod
is so prolific now?
Because the cod is...
Everyone's just showing off their cod and we're not seeing the yellow belly, So.
That was a really dark fish too.
Yeah, from the Murray. Phil Jordan, he headed down to Port Fairy, another hot spot for southern bluefin tuna, and landed a couple. Now, they're telling me they're in so close there.
Yeah.
That Apollo Bay is the same. There's some tuna really in close down those areas.
Well, Port Fairy, I think they're in about 20 metres of water straight out from the mouth or where the boat ramp is. I know blokes going out in tinnies. The other week, Mitch Chapman, he said he was going to go down and take his tinny there. He asked if we had some jerry cans in case he ran out of fuel. But so you can do it on the right conditions. You don't have to go far, and they're proven to be pretty good fish at the moment. A lot of 30 kilo fish around. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Another good fish that we're starting to see a few of, and great to see them coming in as well, is the old mako shark. Toby Young headed out about 50 metre mark southeast of Flinders and landed a lovely 35 kilo mako. Thank you very much for that.
Good to see this too, because I know a lot of the Vicky game fishers don't mind getting out there and targeting a mako, but it's been a bit too much like hard work. So good on you, Toby. Good to prove they're there and get the burley happening, boys.
What do you reckon with the ones that we have seen? Haven't seen too many bigger models. There's been a lot of
we had
18 to about 40 kilo.
Yeah, we had a 93 kilo one last week, Cal. So,
that was probably one of the only bigger ones that I've heard of so far. But
anyway, good fishing. If you'd like to send in a pic of your catch of the week, this is what you have to do.
If you want to be like me and have your photo on TV, email your fishing pic to info@ifish.com.au.
Now, boys, after the break, we might try and sneak in a little bit to talk about calamari, because you know what? Calamari haven't featured in Catch of the Week for quite some time, and have they gone quiet over the summer period? Are they coming back in the next few weeks? I've found them certainly down my part of where I go fishing on the Mornington Peninsula this time of year to be very, very difficult. Happy to hear how you've been on them, Cal, in Western Port, because I think it's it's just one of those fisheries haven't heard a lot about during the last probably 2 months. So anyway, coming up on Talking Fishing, product of the week, and we talk deep water whiting as well right after this.
Talking fishing.
We know what you'd rather be doing.
We know what you've really got in mind.
We know you'd rather be out fishing. And today's the day you're gonna wet a line. 'Cause every day's a good day.
Stop wishing.
Every day's a chance to drift away. Drift away.
Every day's a good day for fishing. See you down at Tackle World today.
Product of the week, brought to you by Tackle World.
Talking fishing.
Welcome back, and product of the week this week, new product. We've been off air for a little while, only a couple of shows in, so a little bit of new product on the market. And Dave, you were speaking briefly about talking about calamari later, and it just so happens I've got a new little lolly here that the calamari are absolutely frothing over at the moment. New squid jig on the market. Dory is the brand, you wouldn't have heard of it. Brand new. Something, Dave, that we're very proud of because we actually had our hand in designing these.
Yeah.
And there's a few little differences that make them stand out in the wonderful world of squid jigs. The 2.5 size has got a little bit slimmer profile than all the others you see on the market, and I think that really appeals to what's going on in our bays. We deal with a lot of bait fish in bays of that long, slender profile, like garfish, and also slimy mackerel, things like that, which can be quite small and quite petite. Pilchard's another one. That slimmer profile really comes into play in the shallow waters. But there's one colour in particular that has just absolutely dominated lately in Calabi. I want to throw this one over to you because I know at Mornington on the Peninsula, we're struggling to keep this on the shelves. It's a black with a silver under. We don't talk about silver a lot, but it is something that works really well. Are you seeing the same thing through Cranbourne?
I do see a similar pattern, is that a lot of darker jigs work really well in Western Port. And that silver undercoating, I guess the foil on it, it's going to reflect the sunlight quite a bit too, and the squid can see that from quite a while away. But the dark cloth just forms a silhouette. It's perfect for, I find, in early morning or late afternoon fishing. Throughout the day I'll use some more clearer jigs. But yes, the darker colours do work.
So these have got quality written all over them, Dave. The sharpest possible business ends that we could find, because we don't like losing fish here in Victoria. That cloth is just immaculate. It's so tight on that jig, it really gives you what's the holographic insides, whether it's red or silver or gold in this case. There's clear. We just wanted to create that squid jig that was next level. We've seen some beautiful jigs. This is right up.
Well, I think one of the things adds that, in playing part of the development of this range is that we said we've got some good shaped jigs and we've got some good coloured jigs, but not necessarily in the same range. And so what we've done is bring together the best colours with the best shape, I think. And you talked about that black one before. That's almost chrome underneath.
It is.
It's like a chrome bumper bar off a HG Holden, an old panel van I had in 1980, I think. But anyway, that's nearly chrome. A natural colour, but with a gold body underneath. We've really combined some fantastic colours here. A dory, remember the name, because next squid season, this is going to be massive.
It's going off. So next I'm going to move straight on because I know we're a bit short on time, but Kairiki braid. Shimano have done it again. Boys, get a hold of them. The big thing in braid at the moment is dealing with something that's high quality but at an affordable price. We've been through the ultra high end crazy price braids. We've come out the other side and we've now seen that the material is so easily accessible. They're able to combine all those elements of an expensive braid and combine them into something a lot more affordable. Shimano have done that in their Kairiki range of braid. It's super soft, so it's beautiful to cast. Abrasion resistance is still there to a certain point. For a casting braid, it's probably the best I've seen in that department. A nice bright green colour so we can see what it's doing, and a Japanese material. This is something you don't see in cheaper braids. So boys, I think this is going to change the game a little bit. Like I said, we've seen the expensive braids, we've come out on the other end, they've refined the way they can make them, therefore making it a quicker process, therefore making it more affordable for us. So Kairiki braid by Shimano, get into it because it's good stuff.
Genuine made in Japan too, and supple.
It
so
is.
it's like baby hair.
It
you know.
is.
And I've got 2 grandkids. I've been patting the. Oh, you got a new baby too, relatively baby, but new. But it's just so fine and beautiful to touch and feel, isn't it?
I haven't had the chance to use this yet, but the other day I was spooling up some customers' reels, and they just sit very nicely on the reel. Like you can tell with some braids, some cheaper braids, they just want to sort of spring off. These ones sit really well, which they're going to cast quite well, and they're going to last a lot longer too, which is quite an important thing when looking at braids.
I'm going to fly through these, boys, because we're running short on time, but we're coming into game season. The bluefin thing has been happening all summer, so we've had a chance to try these new Entice skirts. Again, it's about giving you really, really nice, good product at an affordable price. Skirts can go upwards of $100 these days. Not these bad boys, but you're still getting the same performance. There's a vast different array of heads. You can see all that, from small little bullet heads for kingfish and salmon, all the way through to the big cup face things for marlin and bluefin tuna, things like that.
Big barrel
Boys,
tuna.
they're going to be awesome come game season. We're already hearing good things, so get a load of them. They're going to look good in the lure up.
I've got to say, during the kingfish season, everyone's been saying, what are these Entice jigs?
Yep.
Because Matt Senior's been using them and killing the kingfish. Entice, it's a brand that's just going to make its mark on game fishing.
Exactly, so they're going to be great. The Samaki Pacemaker, we've seen them for a couple of seasons now, but this was exciting. They've just released 2 brand new colours. The traditional Dorado pattern you see at the top, these are as good a finish on a lure as you'll see, but this has got me excited because that right there is the best squid jig imitation lure I've ever seen. I know it doesn't swim like a squid, and I really don't care because that looks way too good now.
So good.
Exactly. Kingfish eats squid. Tuna eats squid.
Yes.
Everything eats squid, and that is one of the best representations I've ever seen.
I've always thought the pacemaker, the slimy mackerel one, is something that you can almost cook it.
Well,
and
that's
eat
what
it.
put 'em on the
It
map.
looks so good.
Last Portland season, that's what put 'em on the
And
map.
this has got to be equally top in their range for colour and design, doesn't
They
it?
look great.
Victorian kingfishers love squid, so you can't go past that. If you want to try some lures, you've got to have one of them in the back.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's a cracker. They're in store and ready to go. And boys, the most popular burley pot of all time just got that little bit better because
got a little bit smaller too.
Yeah, well, if there was one complaint we got out of the last burley pot, it was that it was massive and you had to buy about 12 kilos of burley to fit in it. Not anymore. They've made it half the size. You can see the comparison on your screen there. These things just make life so easy. We've gone ahead and still incorporated the 3 kilo weight, which is...
Just show that, Ads.
I was going to say, it's just under there, so it's
3
locked
kilos
in.
of lead.
It's screwed in, it's held in by the actual, the cord to keep everything going. I'm going to brag a little bit here, Dave, because the 3 kilo weight in the bottom is an initiative that we got onto first.
Yeah.
Our sinker maker who does all the stuff for us, Johnny, you're an absolute legend. He went and made this thing fit this pot exactly. It fits flush in there. It is designed so when it hits the sea floor or the bay bed, it actually sits upright all the time. It cannot fall over and fall onto its side, therefore hindering how much burley's coming out. That's the Sea Dogs burley pot. It's got a 3 kilo weight in the bottom. That is getting down there in any tide or any current. It's a little bit smaller. Perfect for whiting, snapper, anything you want. A little bit easy to store in the smaller size, and we've already seen that take over sales of the big one. So don't forget the big one. If you're going offshore or you're going to those deeper waters where you really need to burley up big time, the big one's still the go-to. But for our shallower areas, whiting, shallow water snapper, this is an absolute gem, and you're going to see it a lot around Port Phillip and Western Port.
Fantastic.
There you go.
Who would have thought smaller was better?
There you go.
Right, yeah. Well, people have been asking for it.
change that on
We
your
give
Tinder
people
profile.
what they want. So, well done to the people at Sea Dog for making that one. Boys, let's change it up now. Cal, I want to pick your brain. You're a Western Port fisherman, and if anyone is going to catch the 1 kilo whiting in the Western Port Whiting Challenge, and we've got all the details of that fishing comp coming up shortly, to get the $1,000 out of Paul Worsling's wallet, they're going to probably fish deep water in Western Port. Tell us a little bit about what do you do different if you're fishing deep water? We're probably talking, 10 to 13, 14 metres?
Yep. And I think anywhere from sort of 7, 8 metres can be deemed as a little
water.
bit deeper water. But even, I know guys who've been fishing that sort of 15 to 17 metres of water and getting some really good quality fish. I think the number of fish aren't there, you guys might agree, but the quality of fish are just tenfold, heaps bigger. And I find there's been obviously the water team's been really hot this year, so looking for those deeper areas.
Bit cooler.
Yeah, they are a bit cooler.
Yeah.
The fish are getting down there and actively feeding.
Yeah.
With rigs and stuff, usually can use a very similar rig. I'd probably use a paternoster for the deeper water if fishing. And it depends what ground you're fishing on. If you're fishing on heavy, rubbly, reefy ground, you'd probably still want a paternoster so those hooks are sitting up off the bottom. But if you're fishing over weed, a traditional running sinker rig or even just a dropper rig will work really well too.
Cal, what sort of weights are you talking about when you're fishing deep water?
The thing is, the problem that gets everyone with deep water whiting is you've got to use heavy weights. So I've used as much as 8 ounces of lead.
Wow.
So using heavier gear, not your standard whiting outfit of maybe 2 to 4 kilo, you might want to bump it up to 3 to 6 kilo with like some maybe 10 to even 15 pound braid. But if that's what's going to get you the fish, then you've got to adjust your fishing style to do that.
And hooks on the paternoster, what sort of hooks would you prefer? If you're going to target a big whiting, what would you use?
I've this season I've been using the Shiners or a Shinto wide gap hook, really good, about size 6. I find when they are being a little bit finicky, you can still pin the whiting if you want, but a lot of the time if they just smack that bait, it's going to load up and you'll usually hook them 9 times out of 10. Otherwise, a circle hook. I'd probably stick away from the long shanks for the deeper water. You do want them to try and hook themselves if you can.
And baits for deep water, is it any different to shallow?
It's not really that different. Mind you, I'd usually put a little bit of cuttlefish or squid on the back end of the hook and still use a pippy or a mussel in case they slurp that off. They've still got a little bit to grab.
What are you looking for in the deep water, Cal? I know we're in a day and age of technology, and sounders is something we've used forever on the snapper. Do you actually use that for your whiting? Can you sound schools a whiting?
I think you can, but you've got to be very good. And Western Port can be
probably
quite
why I've
challenging.
never seen a school of whiting on a sounder.
Look, I've seen plenty of fish on my sounder that I thought, that might be whiting. But what I'm trying to find is softer ground. So every now and then you'll find them on harder ground, but I'm trying to find that sandier or that little bit of weed. And usually on your sounder, it'll tell you. It'll be a little. Usually, depending on what setting it is, it'll be yellow, and the thicker that yellow line is, the harder the ground is going to be. So the thinner it is, it's going to be a lot softer ground, and typically that's where the whiting will mooch.
Awesome.
Good information. We'll take a break up next. Fisheries news and plenty more next on Talking Fishing.
Talking fishing.
Good morning, spotters. Stephanie speaking.
Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
Live from the studios of Channel 31 Melbourne, it's now time for some very fishy news.
And a little bit of news, boys. Let's get into it. This is big.
Ooh.
This is big. It's only a small media release, but it is big, I can tell you. A new shellfish reef is born in the bay is the headline. The Andrews Labor government is restoring shellfish reefs in Port Phillip Bay through a project that aims to improve bay health, juvenile fish habitat and water quality. Minister for Agriculture Jarla Pulford announced works had begun on stage 2 of the project to restore lost shellfish reefs in the bay off St Kilda and Geelong at the Albert Park Yacht and Angling Club with the Nature Conservancy, TNC, which is the Nature Conservancy.
Nice.
So there's a big reef going in, boys.
Nice.
It's going to be a big reef. I haven't got any photos of it, but that's still to come, and I think it's going in soon. It went on to say the Labor government's $147,000 investment will allow for locally sourced limestone to be placed on the seafloor at Hobson's Bay and at Wilson Spit near Geelong under 7 metres of water by a barge and an excavator, covering 300 square metres. So it's not a small one.
It's not small.
No, 300 square metres, around 300,000 juvenile oysters. Right, so get this, 300,000 juvenile oysters will be eventually spread over the limestone by divers. So they're actually going to create
That's cool.
a limestone reef and then cover it in oysters. So this is
it's quite
now this
exciting.
is something that was in the bay, I think 50, 60, 70 years ago, got destroyed by the scallop dredges and industrial type fishing and that sort of stuff, and it's coming back. There's a massive investment that's going to bring all this back.
This will bring a lot of good fishing, but might actually purify the water.
Well-
A few weeks ago.
Well, no, have a listen to the next line. Cal, you should be a scientist, because the next line says, oysters are highly efficient at improving water quality, and the cycling of nutrients through their waste products and the complex habitat created by shellfish reefs provides food and homes for crabs, fish and plankton that are important links in the marine food chain. In addition to the government funding, the Nature Conservancy contributed $50,000 towards the project, and Albert Park Yachting and Angling Club funded $35,000, as well as considerable in-kind investment. So, boys, this is big.
That's cool.
I haven't seen a lot of it, and I've sort of heard in the background it was happening, but I haven't seen a lot of it. But please look it up. There's plenty of social media about it, and it is something that will change those areas of the bay dramatically and restore some reefs that were there many, many decades ago. So how good is that?
7 metres water, so they're going to be easily accessible too.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's good. Let's get on to the 28th annual Amateur Western Port Whiting Challenge is coming up on Saturday the 4th and Sunday the 5th of March. There's all the details up on your screen now. Major prize, aluminium 4.1 metre Maker Craft boat, 25 horsepower Yamaha outboard motor, precision boat trailer, valued at $8,000. Thank you very much. There's a cash prize for the first person that weighs in a 1 kilo or more King George whiting. They get to open and see the moths fly out of Paul Worsling's wallet. He hands over $1,000.
Surely it happens this year. Surely it happens this year.
Well, and the best thing is, boys, I'm doing the presentation. I'm presenting the trophies this year at the Western Port Whiting Challenge, so I'll gladly hand over Paul's 1,000. In fact, I'm going to go around to his house during the day. I'll grab the 1,000 smackers off him and
Just
bring
have
them
it ready
along.
to go.
Bring them along
Crisp
to
them up a little bit.
day. Oh yeah, well they'll be crisp because they've been sitting in there folded for about 8 years, I think. So, and there's over 40 other prizes and all the junior comp and all that sort of stuff. So it's a great thing. Now, entries, you can get them at all good tackle shops. You can get online, wpac.com.au, which stands for Western Port Angling Club, wpac.com.au. There you go. That's the Whiting Challenge. Now, talking of whiting, there's a very big whiting talk night coming up, and I think we've got the details coming up on the screen for you there. It's Australia's biggest whiting talk night, boys.
There you go.
It's going to be held at Mornington Mazda on Wednesday the 1st of March. It's in the showroom there, 6:30. If you want to get there at 6:30 for the pizza and drinks, 7 o'clock the talk starts, $10 covers your pizza and your drinks. Reserve your seat. You need to ring Tackwell, Cranbourne or Mornington tomorrow. On the night, Professor Greg Jenkins.
It's worth going for that.
He is going to tell you everything about whiting. If you want to know about whiting, he will tell you about whiting.
Yeah,
He's now got people like 98-year-old Don Newman tagging them, and he's going to track them. He's going to see where they breed, but he's going to tell you all about the spawning. What's next season going to be like? What's the season after? What's the season after? Going to tell you all about that. Some fascinating science, and we haven't had Greg come along to a talk for 3 years now, so this will be a big one. There's only 300 seats. Please book tomorrow morning if you want to come along. It's going to be a big night. And then the panel. Adam, you're emceeing.
I'll
Myself,
be emceeing.
I'll get up there just as an amateur with Captain Steve Johnson from Ace Fishing Charters and Sean Ferdier from Think Big Fishing Charters. And I tell you what, we're going to tell you some rubbish about whiting fishing. We're going to give you everything you need to know on the eve of the Whiting Challenge.
I'm going to throw it out there. Jump onto Facebook, Talking Fishing Facebook page. Throw us a few questions which you would like me to ask the three experts sitting on the panel, because we're going to hear from the best of the best from the science perspective. Then we're going to hear from the best of the best on the panel side from the recreational fishing sector. I would love to know what you want me to ask these guys, because it is your chance. It's the only time of year we run this thing. It is absolutely massive, and we want to make sure that you leave with the knowledge that you want to know about. So send us your questions so I can jot them all down and fire some hard questions at these boys, because it is going to be a massive night.
It is going to be a big night. Looking forward to it. Alrighty, that's it for fisheries news. Cal, I want to pick your brain again, if that's all right.
Get it ready.
perch versus bass.
Perch versus
Now,
bass.
I reckon not many people, if you're anything like me, I've caught perch. I've never caught a bass in my life. Are they difficult? What's the difference between perch and bass?
Well, the difference there, people often mistake them as being the same fish. I know years gone by, people catching estuary perch and would swear that they were bass, but they are quite similar, but they do differ. So a perch will have a more concave head. I find they're usually deeper in the midsection. They also have a bigger eye, whereas the bass sort of don't have that concave head. Usually got a bigger tail, might be a little bit skinnier in the midsection. Both are very similar. Both feed very similar. As I said, me and Ads, we love catching them on surface lures. That's probably the big thing. Is they're so fun to catch, especially even you catch those small 30-centimetre fish. They just pull hard and they explode when they hit your surface lure, don't they?
There are parts of Gippsland where they do actually interbreed, so there is hybrid estuary perch and Australian bass. And realistically, the only way to tell them apart then is by DNA testing. Yeah, generally speaking, the aspects of each fish that Carl just spoke about, if you see, say, a wild bass compared to an estuary perch, I think you can tell, even by the markings and the scale patterns of the bass, it's quite distinctive. But I tell you what, they both pull just as hard as each other, and they both eat surface lures, making them the best fish ever.
And they both live in either salt or freshwater, or both.
Correct.
They do. At different parts of the year. I think the bass go downstream to breed. I think
but fisheries stock them in both saltwater and freshwater.
They will.
There you go.
Great fish.
Up next, Kramer's mailbag, and I'm going to ask Cal where he would like to take his next girlfriend fishing, next on Talking Fishing.
Talking fishing.
Make mine a Mornington.
G'day, David Kramer here. I'm a massive fan of the Mazda BT50, having personally driven and owned one for more than 5 years now. And to tell you what, you can't beat them for an all-round great ute and a great tow vehicle. Get into Mornington Mazda before the end of the month and grab yourself a run-out bargain. I made mine a Mornington Mazda.
Make mine a Mornington Mazda.
Talking fishing, nothing but fishing. We're talking fishing.
A little bit of mailbag, boys, and a little bit of Facebook coming through as well that we might just got thrown to me by the producers behind the glass wall. Let's get into it. Hey boys, getting ready for the whiting challenge. Quick debate between my mates. Love to know your opinion. Circle or long shank hooks for whiting? From John at Hastings.
Can I say something else, or do I have to pick between those two?
Well, no, I'd love to hear your opinion. What do you reckon?
Shiners, all the way.
Oh, that's sort of like a circle hook.
Yeah, kind of.
Semicircle or whatever, yeah.
I guess it really depends how the whiting are biting.
Absolutely.
Sometimes, like when the whiting being really finicky, a long shank is really good. You want to pin those fish where you just can't with a circle. But if those whiting are just smacking the rod and that is loading up, a circle or a shiner is definitely the way.
Because you do gut hook every second or third whiting with a long shank.
Yeah, well, I tell you what though, using cuttlefish, they just love it that much. You gut hook them with a circle sometimes. They just waft it down.
Just tie a bit of line to the circle or to the.
I've got to say, when I'm whiting fishing, I always start with a circle style hook. So I always start with that. If you're starting to drop fish, if you're getting bites but not landing them, then I'll always go back and
pin them.
It's the old tradition. A little bit of tube, bit of red tube, then a red bead, and I'm so meticulous. It's got to be, it's got to be the right length. And then a size 6 long shank hook. But I'll always start with a circle with none of the crap on there, and then you go to all the fancy stuff to try and pretend you're all right at it.
I'm different. Circle hook's the last option to me.
Really?
Yep, because I sit there watching the rod, don't know whether to strike them. I just want to feel the bite and hit the hell out of them. Yeah. 2 red beads.
There you go, John. Do whatever you want. Next one. Hi, Kramer. Where is the best place to pump bass yabbies around Melbourne?
Oh, good one.
Stan's asking that.
Good question, Stan.
I don't know around
Hang on,
Melbourne.
I'm just going to get a pen so I can write this down.
Yeah. I don't know about Melbourne. I mean, the Mornington Peninsula is full of them. Yep. Absolutely full. And you go there, Rosebud, Rye, on a low tide, there is bass yabby holes everywhere. Now, you mightn't get them out of the water, because sometimes it's a lot easier to pump the the dry holes, if you like. But even if they're in 3 or 4 inches of water or whatever, just have one of those little plastic sieves and pump it into there. Sand goes straight through. You're left with the bash yabbies on top. But there are millions on the Mornington Peninsula. Cal Warneat is always a place.
Well, Warneat's fantastic. Other side of the creek too, Cannons Creek, doesn't get pumped as much, which is quite good because down at Warneat there's a couple of spots there where a lot of people will just go down there, and over time there's not as many as there what it used to be. The other one I reckon is if you can pull the boat up on the middle spit in Western Port
at low tide.
Do it because there is full of them.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, if you've got a small enough boat where you can pull it up and you're confident to do that, it's definitely worth a crack because that's full of them.
Yeah, there you go. Do bash yabbies come out at night?
I don't know.
I mean, you never see a bash yabby out of its hole, do you? Ever. They must come out. I mean, how do whiting eat them if they're just buried in the sand all the time? Do they come out at night? I don't know.
Well, if you look at a whiting's mouth, I think they just slurp them out of the holes.
Yeah, okay.
So I think they might know that they're there.
Maybe if someone knows, does a bash yabby come out of its hole? We'd love to know. Just write to us, info@ifish.com.au. Or Kramer at iFish, whatever it is. Yeah, I know, but I'd love to know, do they come out naturally out of the holes and, do fish feed at night on them or something like that? Because they're a dynamite bait.
And now that we've discovered just how good cuttlefish is, I think the bass yabby's gone to the number 1 most underrated whiting bait.
Yeah.
It was cuttlefish.
Yep.
Secrets out there.
Yep.
So.
Right, next one, ads. Talking to you. Red writes this.
Oh, go
Red,
Red.
I don't know if it's Red Simons or not, but Red. You're the tackle man, ads. What is the best soft plastic for kingies in the rip? Me and me mate can't get one on a jig, and we're just wondering what plastic and what size jig head and what knot do you tie?
Okay.
Kingies on plastics.
Kingies on plastics. 2, if the fish are up on top. So sometimes you see salmon busting around, kings will generally be under them. So a slapstick or a sluggo, pop into the store or the Tackle Cram and Tackle Mornington. We've actually rigged the hell out of them, and the kingy can't swim within 5 yards. They're sitting in copper hook somewhere. But they're more for burning it along the top. If they're a bit shy and they're sitting mid-water,
what if you want to fish in 40 metres of water and you couldn't be bothered jigging?
Bad luck. You cannot, not so much bad. You can drop shot them.
Yeah.
But I think with the water that we deal with in the rip, you're better off putting on a couple of hooks and bait fishing.
Yeah.
Plastics come into their own when they're sitting, say, mid-water in the top third. You know they're there, but they're being really crafty and really silly. Flick baits, any style, squidgy flicks. There's some fused paddle tails in a long fish pattern, really, really good. Why I think plastics work in those situations, you can work them quite slow. You can literally annoy the hell out of a kingfish into eating your bait because they are prone to it. If you really want to get technical, nice big wriggler tail, drop it down, have a look at your sounder, see where they're sitting, put the plastic on the money and very, very slowly wind it back and get that tail working. It can be deadly. Jig heads are hard because of the turbulent water. I might just sound like a seedy salesman, but have an array anywhere from 1/2 ounce to 2 ounce, depending on your current, and just tie directly to the jig head. I don't worry about loop knots with plastics. They've all got tails that are designed to work anyway. Tie hard to the jig head, get into it.
Just a standard uni knot is always the way to go.
Yep, there you go. Next one, come through from Facebook, a message. Kylie writes, and I don't think it's Kylie Blowfish. It's not, Richie's girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
This is another Kylie on Facebook. She writes, does Callan have a girlfriend? Callan? No. You're a single man.
Who's Kylie? Is that your grandmother, Adam?
All right. Now, have we got some excerpts here from Callan's Tinder profile? So, what you're looking for someone between 18 and 55, it says. No. It also, Callan is looking for a girlfriend. Yep. Anyone sitting at home that's single wants to match up with Callan. Yep. info@ifish.com.au. Paul's going to kill us using that email address. But anyway, Cal will find you a girlfriend, I'll tell you what. So, anyway, there you go. If you'd like to write into Kramer's Mailbag, this is what you do.
Send your mail to Kramer's Mailbag, PO Box 734, Patterson Lakes, Victoria 3197, or email kramer@ifish.com.au.
The things we do.
Oh, you know what? We look after our own here at Talking Fishing, so we've got your back, Cal.
I'm not feeling in for
We've got your back.
Cal, I want to pick your brain.
Yep.
Picking your brain tonight, that's what it's all about. So you get down to Portland a bit, and there's some monster kingfish off Portland.
There is some monster kingfish.
Give us some tips on kingfish at Portland.
Well, there hasn't been a lot of action around this year because so many tuna around, but the kingfish are definitely there, and I think there's a few different areas to target. I think the North Shore is definitely the most popular. You'll get them in your kayak, like you're not even that far off the shore. You can be a couple hundred metres at times, fishing in 3-4 metres of water. There's some really good reefy areas there. The other spot would be to try and travel a little bit is probably the back of like Julia Percy. But at the moment, there's been some kingfish just floating around the tuna too. So I've heard of people catching with them on stick baits and poppers and whatnot. So they're definitely there.
Yeah. Depth of water?
Depth of water, as I said, anything from like 4 metres of water, they'll get into those shallows chasing bait fish to... Look, you'll probably get them out on the 100-metre line with those tuna, or around Julia Percy Island on those drop-offs and any of those pinnacles and stuff too. So they'll sit anywhere as long as there's something to feed on.
Yeah. When the times adds, you and I have been down to Portland on the tuna. You come out of the harbour and you turn right.
Yep.
And there's some beautiful weed beds along there. They'd have to hold some big King George whiting, wouldn't they?
That is probably one of the biggest hot spots for King George whiting.
But we don't see a lot of photos.
No, you don't. I just think most people who are going to Portland don't want to target whiting.
Yeah.
They want to target tuna, they want to target kingfish, they want to target a big snapper.
Yeah.
But the locals definitely know they're there, and the locals definitely fish for them. I think there's an area called Black Nose Point. They catch some really big whiting around there, for sure.
Now, someone's asking my ear a question via Facebook again.
Yep.
Where, number one spot, where would you take your next girlfriend fishing? Someone's asked. Someone's asking on Facebook.
Oh.
Well, you get one answer really quickly. Where would you take your next girlfriend fishing if you had the opportunity?
Oh, the bedroom.
Whoa!
Wrong answer. You meant to say like a nudie, picnic.
But worst comes to worst,
sunny side.
there is a tank at Tackle Wheel Cranbourne with a couple of fish in there. We can always take a line.
Wrong answer. You're never going to get a girlfriend. No wonder. Coming up next, this week's hotspot. See you soon on Talking Fishing.
Talking fishing.
G'day, Callan here from Paul Worslam's Tackle World Cranbourne. Supercharged batteries have been supplying maintenance-free marine batteries since 2001. The Seamaster Gold range is second to none, delivering superior starting power and reserve capacity. No need to top up with water, truly a fit and forget battery. With up to 2 years replacement warranty, you know you have quality. Your battery is your lifeline. Without it, you're dead in the water because it's bloody hard to push start. I've got a Seamaster battery in my boat. Make yours a Seamaster Gold today.
Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
Hello, Richie Minnow here. It's now time for this week's Fishing Hotspots on Talking Fishing. Marvellous.
And there you go, Richie and
Richie with the
Kylie
clan.
and the family. Did we cull that?
Oh, I don't know. She's back. She just hangs around.
Anyway, let's get into the hotspots. Point Wilson is number one for those people that live down in Corio Bay. Just absolutely on fire down there for King George whiting at the moment, and it's only going to get better. I just can't wait until about a year and a half's time, 2 years' time, when there's been no netting at all. That is going to be one of the places to fish in
Because that'll
Port Phillip
recover
Bay.
quite quickly, I think.
Oh,
that area.
absolutely
We've
will.
already seen improvements on their mortgage potential. It's only got to improve over there too.
Exactly.
Corio still gets hit a little bit, but those people will rejoice once it's all over. But Point Wilson going quite well at the moment. Second hotspot, the Pinnis Channel out off Mud Island, out the back or the northern end, if you like, of Mud Island. Pinnis has always been a little favourite of mine.
That's right. And it's been pretty consistent this year too, which is great.
Very good this year. And plenty of calamari there too, but it's absolutely dynamite for King George whiting if you can get in there. I like a run-in tide. I just don't find the run-outs any good there, and maybe that's the slope of the ground. It gets deeper as you go further north, and so the water just tends to flow a little bit better.
How are the gummies going there? I know a few people will always throw out a bigger gummy rod while fishing the channel sort of areas.
Yeah, you've got to go a little bit deeper for them.
Deeper,
just the Pinnis you can fish in 2.5 metres of water. So it's quite shallow. Getting down to, as I said, it drops off, but 6-7 metres, and then not too far from there, it's 10, 14, 17, 20 sort of thing. So, and plenty of good gummies, like you said, at the very end of the Pinnis Channel. So, great place to go. head out there if you want to launch easy from Sorrento. It's almost as easy from Patterson River, like those sort of places where you can just cut straight across the bay, end up the pinnace and you're there. So there you go. One of your places that you like to fish, the Quail Bank, is another hot spot.
Yes.
Cal, and tell us a bit about Quail Bank.
Oh, well, yeah, definitely one of my favourites. I went there a couple of weeks ago with the old band, and we had a ripping session after work on a Wednesday night. We only fished for about an hour and a half. We had 14 fish, and we left them biting. But
Whiting?
They're all whiting.
Awesome.
But they're all big fish. So I think we might have had one or two around at 35. The rest were all 41. The weird thing too, we every time we caught a whiting, we'd get a pinky. So pinky, whiting, pinky, whiting, pinky, whiting. But the rods were just going nuts for an hour and a half, and we could have caught more if we wanted to.
Do you have a GPS mark where you go to for that?
For the bank areas like Quail Bank, I will. For the channels, it's a matter of just moving up them. But it's the same sort of thing though. Like you got to find little drop-offs, study little differences on your sounder for the banks. It's the same with like Tortoisehead Bank or Quail Bank, Tyre Bank, those sort of areas. Yeah. But GPS marks can be crucial because you're finding those the pockets where the sand is, so you don't want to be fishing over weed. You want to be fishing over the sand, and then the whiting will come into the sand from the weed. Yeah.
There you go. You just mentioned the next hotspot, Tortoisehead Bank. Let's head down there. The southern end of French Island can be known for some quite big King George whiting down that end.
Definitely, and I've heard a lot this year too. At night. So a lot of people getting up in the shallows and fishing at night and getting some really good numbers of King George whiting and some really big King George whiting too.
You've got to know where you're going, don't you, when you're navigating around?
You do. I know people who run aground up there. We do have a customer that ran aground up there not that long ago.
I think it's the very first place that I ever run aground on Western Port was the Tortoisehead. And there's two types of people that fish Western Port, those that have run aground and those that are going to. So it's just one of those places. But you do need to navigate, and particularly if you're fishing at night, know where you're going. And of course, a good GPS will help you out with that sort of stuff. So,
definitely.
But a great place for big whiting, like I said, and maybe just a little hot spot for the Western Port Whiting Challenge coming up very, very shortly. All right, let's head out west along the surf coast of Victoria. A lovely place called Lorne. I love it. This time of year is just absolutely dynamite. Now, you can get tuna even moving in there at the moment, but it's absolutely on fire. Salmon off the surf. Some King George whiting at night off the pier, and also some lovely calamari. Just look for the black ink all over the pier and you'll know where to fish.
It is definitely one of those hot spots for calamari for sure, and you do get some really good whiting there too. And Apollo Bay the other week, they were getting tuna there, so in the harbour, so I can only imagine that Lorne's going to be much the same.
Yeah, plenty of variety there. So, and take the weekend, enjoy it. I mean, it's one of those places, if you want to go down there for the Labor Day long weekend or Easter or Anzac Day, it's a great place. Plan your trip because the fishing is fantastic there all the way through till about May. So
that might be where I'll take the girlfriend.
There you go. Write that down, Cal.
Better than your last answer. You might get a couple of responses now, Cal. And lucky last hotspot is a very, very popular place. Anderson's Inlet this time of year is just packed. But if you can get down there, it's just absolutely fantastic, isn't it?
Love this place. Big schools of salmon start cruising through there, and they do laps of the little island in the middle. Whiting all over that island too. You got perch at Screw Creek of a night time on poppers. Gummy sharks off the beach.
Big flatted too.
Yeah,
it's really big flatted.
Great place.
So a fantastic place to go. Anderson's Inlet. Just battle the crowds this time of year because it is a very, very. It's just become more and more popular as the years go by, and almost a bursting point. That caravan park along the foreshores, it's just to die for, isn't it?
It is.
It's just a beautiful place, but very, very packed. You need to book in. So another nice place, and we've finished with hotspots now, is Newgie, Cal, and you fished a bit at Newgie this time of year. I don't know whether people they forget how good the trout fishing is this time. You don't hear a lot about it, but those people that do go trout fishing. Isn't it spectacular to go this time of year?
It is. For some reason, I don't know why, it dies off around this time of the year. People are still definitely doing it. I find, and we've had a pretty hot summer, but we've had a few spurts of rain too, and I really find that those trout fire up as soon as you have that first couple of downpours after a really dry spell. And it's been fishing, from what I hear, it has been fishing quite well up there lately. But you can go up there and catch football scores of trout. They're not big trout, they might be, a few 100 gram, if that, but they're really good fun and and watching that big white mouth come up behind your lure, or I like to wave the wand, a bit of a fly fish every now and then, so watching that trout come out behind that is sensational too. So as I said, there's plenty of good numbers in there. They're not necessarily the big fish, but Yeah, I know you fished up there a bit too, as
Yeah, well, it was sort of the opening of the season was basically washed out like most of the smaller trout rivers, but it's great. It's had a good flush out. So we've had a couple of downpours since then to keep the water moving and turning over in the heat. The best thing about Nuji is it's easy. You can fish so much of the river because you're in paddock most of the time. You're not having to fight through scrub and breaking fishing rods. You can take your old man. You can take the kids. Obviously, watch out for snakes because you are in paddocks, but it's generally big and open and quite easy to fish, and you can catch plenty of trout.
And there's 3 different rivers to fish too, which I think a lot of people sort of forget. You can go to the Tarago, which you will find a lot of more small fish, but there's good numbers of them. But if that's not fishing well, why don't you just go down the road? Up to the Tarongo. You can go down to the Tarago or the Latrobe too. So there's three areas to fish, and they all fish pretty well.
The beauty of fishing this time of year too is against traditional. It's 15 degrees warmer.
Comfortable.
You don't need your thermals on and your waders and all that sort of stuff. It's actually very, very nice to get out there and go trout fishing and enjoy just a t-shirt and a pair of thigh waders if you like. So
still with the snake factor, I'd still wear the waders just in case.
But it's just not as cold. You don't have to wear the beanie and all that sort of stuff.
It's the same in Portland. Why would you go in winter? You can catch them there.
Exactly. Number one lure for this time of year?
Look, I like little. There's a little Strata Picola, quite a small hard body lure, works quite well. But for those deeper pools, maybe like a black heart lure, or even there's plenty on the market.
Well done. Thanks, Cal. Appreciate you coming in tonight too. Welcome knowledge, and hopefully we'll get your girlfriend, from the show. But anyway, that's it for Talking Fishing. We hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, tonight was a pre-recorded show, but next week, Trelly returns, and we return live in the studio with some stories to tell after spending a week overseas in Tasmania together. Until we see you again next Tuesday on Talking Fishing, please stay safe on the water and enjoy your fishing.
Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing. We got all you need, just take a look. Watch those fish jump on your hook. So just relax and take your time. Enjoy the show, then drop us a line. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing. Talking fishing.
Have a good weekend, Mr. Walker.
You too, son.
Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, talking fishing. If it's facts about fishing that you want to know, then tune in, folks, cause this is the show. We'll show you all the right bait to use, so sit right back, you got nothing to lose. Doesn't really matter if it's trout or carp, flathead, marlin or a gummy shark. Listen to the guys and you can't go wrong. They'll be talking about fishing till the cows come home. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
Welcome everyone to Talking Fishing. Just a reminder that tonight's show is a pre-recorded one. So if a marlin was caught in Port Phillip Bay on the weekend, we won't be talking about it tonight. Coming up on tonight's show, we discuss deep water whiting tactics. We take a look at some new products that have hit the market recently, and we hear about a new big reef going into Port Phillip Bay, as well as all the regular segments. All that and plenty more. So let's get into it with a big welcome to the man who travels by kayak, Adam Ring. Welcome, Ads.
Thanks, Dave. Hey, a new reef into Port Phillip Bay. When did that come about?
This is big news. Something completely different.
Yep.
Going to hear about it tonight.
Awesome. Bring that on.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And in Trelly's absence once again, it's a very big welcome to our regular fill-in Callan Braid Ball. Welcome back, Cal.
How are we, guys? Good to be back, filling Trelly's spot again.
Yes, and good to see you back too, and always got some things that we like to pick your brain about. We're going to do that tonight. We're going to pick your brain about a couple of things that you do differently in fishing that maybe Eds and I don't do, because you do travel around, being a single bloke. And
did you do the last minute dash down to get yourself a new attire? You're looking quite sharp, mate. I like it.
Down to Savers.
And we might do something about, let's start a rally, I reckon, Eds. Let's get him not single anymore.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, that's it.
Got a couple little surprises for him tonight.
Who needs Tinder when you got talking
we're going to read
fishing?
his profile tonight.
That's right.
We might read Cal's Tinder profile tonight. But boys, what an exciting time of year I find this is for fishing, because we've probably reached the peak of water temperature for the year, and although we've probably got some warmer currents to come down ocean-wise, so, off lakes entrance and all that sort of stuff, but the bay will slowly start to decline. Not by much, but, in the next 4 weeks, I just find it's an exciting time because you get a little bit of turnover, a little bit of cold weather, as we've had, and, a bit of colder water comes into the bay, and it turns over. Things happen that are different.
Well, it's exciting because we start to see the re-emergence of some species that we'd forgotten about. Like, I'd expect over the next few weeks, 3, 4, 5 weeks, we'll see a nice little snapper bite. Now, whether people get amongst that or not is another thing, but that'll happen. These fish will start thinking about leaving the bay. They'll need to feed up quite hard, get the energy stocks, get the bellies full so they can start making their migratory run out of the bay. That's pretty exciting because it was let's just say snapper season was hard work, like it has been for a few years. But to get another shot, hopefully, we get another good crack at them, and the kayak guys will get some fish, and then the guys in the boats will get out wide off the peninsula, and we'll see some good catches.
And there's less traffic on the water now too, so those fish are starting to bite, especially in close to the whiting, the squid. They're all going to start to pick up anyway. There's Christmas holidays are gone. The weather will start to get a little bit colder, and people won't be swimming, so we'll be able to get into those shallow areas and catch a lot more fish.
Later on, we're going to talk about a species that hasn't appeared in Catch of the Week for quite some time. But, boys, let's have a look at what's being caught by the people at home. It's time for Catch of the Week.
Catch of the Week, brought to you by Shimano, providing reliable, trustworthy, quality fishing gear for your enjoyment.
Now we are getting to that time of the year. The Western Port Whiting Challenge is on soon, and it's good to see there are some big King George whiting being caught. Unfortunately, this one is from nowhere near Hastings. But Glenn Bussertil, he landed a beautiful 43 centimetre King George whiting off Kirk Point, boys.
Where's that?
Yeah, where is that?
Kirk Point, about halfway between Werribee and Corio Bay, if you like. So along that western side, if you like, or northwestern side of Port Phillip Bay.
I'm hearing good things from over there.
Always been, from us being over, I guess, the southeastern suburbs, most of us, and Trelly, Geelong hears a lot of other reports, but, there's always a productive area over there that we don't hear a lot about, but it is quite a productive fishery.
And it's a chunky whiting when you can hold it up and get a nice fistful and not touch your pinky with your or your forefinger with your thumb.
The other species you were just talking about, Adam, is the old snapper, and they're about to start biting again as the water temperature cools, and they like that. John Sargent headed out off Mount Martha and landed a lovely 64 centimetre.
Great fish.
That's a nice fish, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is.
And those sort of areas, Mount Martha,
Mount Eliza,
Mornington.
deeper too, that we might find this time